Welcome to Create and Orchestrate. Today, we're going to talk about how millennials are reinventing everything. I'm Marcus Whitney, and this is Create and Orchestrate. All right, so lots to talk about millennials for good reason. Millennials have now officially become the largest percentage of the labor force as a generation, right? They're bigger than Generation X, they're bigger than the boomers now, so they are now officially in the lead. And that means that they will soon have the majority of the buying power, the say, and they are very, very quickly ascending in the power structure in terms of how things are going to operate and how they're going to work. So I want to talk a little bit about what it means that they are reinventing everything, all right? And this is one of those messages to people who are not millennials, because millennials already understand this inherently, right? But if you're a Generation X straddle generation person like myself, or if you're a boomer, this message is really for you. So there's two things I want to say about millennials in terms of the way that they are reinventing everything. So the first is that they don't buy the same way that we bought, right? Generation X is the last generation to remember what the world was like before the internet. I mean, just think about that, right? World Wide Web came up in 1993, very, very quickly hit saturation through America Online, those CDs that used to come in the mail to everybody. And there are very few millennials who can actually tell you what it was like to live in this world before cell phones were ubiquitous and the internet was everywhere, okay? So their expectations around consumerism, I see this with my 16-year-old son, right, are completely different from ours. Completely different from ours. So if you are doing a business and you're thinking about long-term sustainability, you have to understand this. First of all, the vast majority of things that are going to be purchased by millennials have to have some outlet on the phone. Millennials spend so much time with their phone, it's not even funny. You know, this is not a good or a bad characterization. This is scientifically proven through surveys and studies. They buy through their phone. They think everything is going to work through their phone ultimately. And if you're not thinking about that, you're not thinking about that immediacy of being able to transact and provide a great experience through the phone, ultimately in the long term, you're missing the point. Even if that means you're a restaurant, okay, and people still have to come in and eat, is your menu available online? Can people get reservations? Can they quickly learn about where you are? Can they quickly get mapped directions to your place of business on their phone, right? It's not all about the transaction, but much of how they're going to engage with your business is going to happen through the phone. They also are very, very used to, rightfully so, instant gratification.
I want it now.
Right, we're now in an era where, because of things like Amazon Prime Now, they can think of something they want, go on their phone, and in 2 hours it's going to be delivered to their house. They don't have to go to the restaurant because there's Postmates, right? They can get anybody to drive any kind of car right to their door and take them anywhere in the city because of Uber and Lyft. So there is an immediate gratification economy that has cropped up that you now have to be thinking about and you have to compete with. And this is not just business to consumer. This is going to become a business to business reality as well. Okay? So don't think, oh, that's just for the consumer stuff, but I can keep doing business as usual on the B2B side. No way. Right? The same habits and expectations they have in the consumer life, once they ascend to positions of power, they're going to wonder, why can't I do this same thing as I do as a consumer? The expectations are already there. So that's the first thing. Then the second way that millennials are different is they don't work like everyone else, okay? Most managers of millennials, especially those who are in the baby boomer generation, think the way to incentivize millennials is by money. The reality is that what millennials really care about is doing something that matters. They care about purpose, right? They care about learning and developing and growing. So you need to think about that if you're having trouble engaging millennials, getting them to stay, getting them to enjoy the work that they're doing, getting them to feel like they're participating as part of the culture? Are you managing them as if they are part of the Industrial Revolution in the mid 1900s, or are you thinking about this 21st century motivation model that is very, very intrinsic, that is very purpose driven, that is very much self-discovery and self-mastery driven, right? And money, yeah, that's part of it, but that is by no means the number one thing that motivates millennials. So these are two really important things to think about because it's just the new reality of our economy, right? Like I said, they're the number one part of the labor force. So you now have to consciously think about how they buy and how they work because your companies are unlikely to work well if you don't understand that, okay? So those are the two big things you need to be thinking about millennials, and just have conversations with them. They're really, I'm excited about millennials coming into power because there's a lot of things about business that need to be changed that aren't going to happen until we have a generational shift. So it's something I'm super excited about. I feel fortunate that I'm part of Generation X and can straddle those generations and can maybe translate a little bit of this. But it's a wonderful, optimistic time if you embrace it and stop just saying that they're lazy and they don't care about anything. That's it. One love.